How you doing, y'all? Matt, Massive Beers here. Yeah, back with a little bit of Fox Farm up in this piece. Little Welly action. This is their English style best bidder. Comes courtesy of my boy Corey. Sent off a whole bunch of Fox Farm. I'm a fan of Fox Farm. I'm a fan of what they do, and I hope this one is exactly what I hope it to be, which is a delicious. Those are words, man. Those words are so hard, too. Delicious is what we're going for there. Best better. Yeah, nice little England jam. A little bit of a European hopeful vibes of goodnessness up in this piece. I always dig the labeling that they do there at Fox Farm as far as the beer goes. It looks spot on. It looks like, exactly what you'd expect from a kind of just a mild kind of best bittery kind of 4.6% kind of jammer in that kind of English kind of style. It just has that soft haziness of that copper coin looking color. There's a head on there, not much of it, but what is there is just barely off white, and it just looks all the part of a nice little English chugger. Nose. Like, it's a mixture of like a brown breadiness and caramel, but on a very subdued sense. It's not jumping out, it's not punching you, it's not a big huge sweetness, but you're definitely getting this kind of nice kind of bready component along with that little bit of dollop of kind of caramelized kind of brown sugar, giving you that little bit of funtasticness. Let's do it. I hate when my phone makes noises when I'm recording. Anyway, but it just has this kind of, just a little bit more kind of oomph, a little bit more kind of pizzazz to it than what you'd expect from a regular sub 5% English bitter. Not out of style, not too kind of out there in left field, but it just comes off as just tasty, nasally tasty. That's one of the creepiest things I've ever said. Let's just dive in. It looks like iced tea, by the way. Cheers. Way more bitter than I thought it would be. Now you're like, okay, it's a best bitter. Bitter's in the name. This is about a month old. Best English bitters are not necessarily a bitter beer. In the grand scheme of things, they're a bitter beer, but they're not, to today's standards, they're not all that bitter. They're just kind of like what people back in the day would consider bitter. This is actually quite a bit more bittering than I expected, so it's a little bit more kind of juiced up, a little bit more pizzazzed than what I would typically expect from a traditional stylish English bitter. Not like crazy out there in left field bittering, but again, quite aggressive. The mouthfeel comes off a little bit thin. And not that you're expecting a big, lush kind of mouthfeel with this kind of beer. There usually is a little bit more to it. And when you have beers like that like this that tend to be, you found them on hand pull casks, things like that, they tend to have a little bit beefier kind of mouthfeel because of that mechanism. It's not thin, but it's thinner than what I expect. That kind of caramelized brown bready thing is definitely there. Not nearly as robust and aggressive as it was in the actual aromatics, but it's definitely there. It's quite tasty. Listen, 4.9%, sub 5%, tasty. I want this beer, and this is me getting a little kind of like, just kind of wanting what I want when I want it. I want this to be 3.5%. That's where this beer typically lands for me when breweries really crush these. They're in that sub 4% level. I'm not angry that this is sub 5, but at the same time, I think you can get what you're getting here at closer to 3 than 5. And that's probably my biggest kind of qualm here. Outside of the mouthfeel on it, it's tasty, it's delicious, it gives you what you want, albeit a little bit bittering than what you'd expect from a traditional kind of English bitter. I'm in, all in, tasty stuff. Yeah. Mount Rushmore of English style beers, no. English bitters, no. It's tasty. It's where, it's in the conversation, eating towards the top, but it's not Mount Rushmore for me. And let's just talk about it, man. Fox Farm, your thoughts on the brewery in general? What about their kind of bitter English ale, English lager kind of line? Where you're talking about I see smaller, lower ABV, malt forward kind of English beers. Have you had this one in particular, but some of the other ones that they've done, a dark milds, things like that? Have you had those beers, and what have you thought about them? What do you think about the brewery as a whole, and what has been your experiences with them in general? Like, this is chomping at the bit. One of the breweries I definitely want to get to out in the world now that being out in the world isn't as kooky as it was a year or even 2 years ago. So I'm excited to visit. Let me know. Let me know what you think down there. Let's talk about it. So there you go. Little review in the book. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little quick bitter jammer. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.